Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.
Buenas, done half a day. Guahu si Jackie Borja Cabrera. I am originally from the village of Barrigada and have been actually living out here in the state of Washington for the past going on 18 years now. I am totally blind and I had lost my eyesight from diabetes. 21, going on 22 years, I've been living my life with total blindness. A friend of mine had invited me out here to the state of Washington, and I came out here not knowing what to expect. And all I knew that was that I wanted to be able to find a school where I can learn all the skills that I needed to in order to help me be independent again. And then found cooking as a therapy for me. And that was part of what they had taught us over at the School for the Blind. But prior for me, to me, actually, when I entered, I actually was cooking already because when I first became blind, I actually taught myself how to cook. And I decided maybe I could take this up to another level, which would mean to go into a culinary school. We ended up having to move to Oregon and stayed there also just to complete the training. So I was able to graduate with honors and able to, I found a passion into where I wanted to do catering because catering would have been more of my style because then I can know how much in advance I'm going to prepare for. So eventually I did. So I had a catering for a little bit and it was called See What's Cooking. So in the catering, when I was doing it, I did cater to a lot of non-tomorrows. And so in the catering, I had packets, okay? Packet A, of course, I put, that was our tomorrow packet. I did things like tomorrow, Hawaiian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, all of it, you name it. And I'll tell you, even when I was at the School for the Blind, I had introduced, and of course, I'm always cooking for everybody there. And they were like, yeah, so much for us to practice our independence because Jack's always cooking for us, but of course, because I don't know how to cook small. So everybody comes to my room and, they eat because I'm always like, when it comes to food, we're always very big in sharing, right? And so what had happened was many of them, because in my graduation for the School for the Blind, we did it full-blown fiesta style. My families had helped me to cook. I mean, we had 3 tables long, okay? They even had to move the graduation from the school to the community hall because they would do a run-on joke and say, oh my gosh, the whole island of Guam is coming because that up to this day, and I graduated from that school in 2005, up to this day, and I mean this in all great humbleness. Nobody has ever had a graduation like that. And my families and friends were so supportive that they were like, we're going to help you and we're going to make this happen. Even to the point where we had, I did a full description. Then we had one of my uncles at the head of the table and reintroducing the food. And then each of my family members and friends took each of my visually impaired and blind classmates. And there was like almost 30 of us. Took them up to the table, told them what was there, and told them what goes into it. And, they sat with them. And then they would talk about the food. And they're like, I want to go to Guam. I want to be tomorrow and they're like, wow, so this is really red rice, and they're like, is it really red? And then of course, some people who, the low vision and the visually impaired, they're really like looking like, oh, wow, it is a red rice, and then the one that the highlight is, of course, the lumpia, they're familiar with that. Then the chicken ketaguen. So I taught them how to say it, but for them to know, they're like, oh, this is lemon chicken. And then a lot of the other catering gigs that I have, the number one packet that was always ordered was the chamorro packet. And it was just really funny. I'm like, you guys don't want any of the other They're like, no, we like that island food. They love Chamorro food. They're very moved by it. And so, aside from the cooking, I also, and many of my blind friends here, we do a lot of activities here. I also play baseball. And yes, there is a thing called beep baseball, and that's BEEP. It's a baseball game for the blind. It's just kind of like watching softball and baseball. It's very similar. The difference is that the ball has a beeper and the bases buzz. I never knew that I would be able to play ball. I used to play softball and volleyball, and I used to be very adventurous with the sports, but I never knew that I would be able to play that being blind. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I hope to someday come back home to Guam and share all of this wonderful skills and gifts and joy and happiness of how we can be able to give back to the community and help our visually impaired, blind, special needs, or just anybody who wants to come out and just be a community together. And yeah, life is good. Thank you.
Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.